This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art to talk about an exhibit that is going on now. Say hi to the curator of the museum, Kate Kunau.
Hello.
Kate, welcome. Nice to see you here today.
Thanks for having me.
And the executive director of the Museum of Art, wearing, you can't see it on the video very well, and of course on the radio either, but a splashily painted frog tie. Yes. Is Sean Ulmer. Sean, nice to see you as well.
Great to be here.
So the exhibit that is in progress, and I told you that when you came in that this is one I've been anxious to have you guys come in and talk about, because I've already, I saw the exhibit.
You were there opening weekend.
I saw the exhibit opening weekend, the exhibit of Marvin Cone and Grant Wood, which is now I'm missing the actual name of the event, which is Barnes Farms in America's Heartland. Mm-hmm. And it's up, and it's only up for a few more weeks.
Yeah, it ends May 15th. So we're getting to the tail end of it.
So when like I said, I've seen it, so I know the answers to a few of these questions. But first off, for those who may not be familiar with the great history and heritage of art in the Cedar Rapids area, talk just a little bit about the life and relationship of Grant Wood, who everybody knows, mm-hmm. and Marvin Cone, who not quite so much of everybody knows, but again, to those of us who are familiar with the Cedar Rapids art history, is also well known.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's up this year because this year is the 125th anniversary of both Marvin Cone and Grant Wood's birthday. They're both born in 1891, so we were really excited to get this exhibition. Very large collection. I believe just a couple of years ago we did an American Artists Abroad exhibition that focused on exactly that, and a lot of Marvin Cone and Grant Wood paintings from their times in France.
When you look at the exhibit, Kate, what do you look at these places where you put things together on purpose, what leaps out for you?
Oh gosh, I have the most fun job in the world. I mean, I get to go into our collection and decide what stories I want to tell and what works speak to each other.
This one, and this one.
Exactly, and I get to play with fun things like that. But when I look at the exhibition, and certainly what I hope some people get from it when they look at it, is a really interesting dialogue between two artists, who are both, spent the bulk of their lives in Cedar Rapids, and really engaged with the town. I mean, they both had a really strong connection here. Of course, Grant Wood had amazing patrons from Cedar Rapids. Marvin Cone taught at Coe College for 40 years. So they were really engaged with the area and very much appreciated it as a legitimate subject of artistic merit, which I think is probably their biggest contribution to the art world generally.
That's a very good point, because sometimes we, even our local artists sometimes have to either leave or have as their theme things that aren't from here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And certainly that was probably even more prevalent in the early 20th century, the idea that you needed to go to Europe, you needed to paint these grand scenes, or at least you needed to be on the East Coast. And Wood and Marvin Cone really understood that, the Iowa was a legitimate subject of artistic merit, and they were really excited about it, and really Grant Wood propagated that thought.
Was there anything that, any piece that you'd kind of forgotten about, or combination that surprised you, that when you went, oh my gosh, when I had this idea, I was totally not expecting this?
Actually, Sean knows this. It was the very first pairing that I came up with when I was still just kind of spitballing exhibition ideas. We have an enormous list of Grant Woods and an even larger list of Marvin Cone, so I was kind of pulling images from both artists. And the first pairing that I came up with that really set the tone for the exhibition was Grant Wood's Young Corn paired with Marvin Cone's Riverbend No. 5, if you're familiar with those. Both these beautiful paintings of the rolling Iowa landscape and hills, beautiful bird's eye views, kind of reminiscent of like an early Disney cartoon. So they're very similar in subject matter, but just the different takes that the artists had on them. Their styles are distinctive, and I think it's just a wonderful pairing.
Sean, what are, is it a positive, or is it a little bit of a challenge when you are putting out an exhibition like this, which is pretty much totally from your own collection, as opposed to, bringing things in?
Well, we're blessed to have the world's largest collection of work, both by Grant Wood and by Marvin Cone. 300 by Grant Wood's, over 700 by Marvin Cone. So Kate had a really formidable challenge to pour through 1,000 pieces to come up with this show, which meant she could pick the best of the best, that's for sure. But it was a great way for her also to get to know this part of the collection. I mean, 1,000 pieces is a seventh of our collection. So having joined the staff in January of last year, she hasn't had, and hit the ground running, she hasn't had a chance to really spend a lot of quality time with these two artists. And this was a great opportunity for her to sort of dig down, come up with a theme that she wanted. I mean, she could have chosen landscape, she could have chosen still life, or she could have chosen portraiture. Both artists did all of those things. And she picked out the theme that she thought resonated the best. And I think by choosing landscape, it's the thing for which both artists are perhaps best known. She's putting their sort of the best face forward, and I think that's a great way to kind of kick off this 125th celebration.
What's the response from the museum-going public?
Well, our numbers are up. People are very excited to see it. It is always a challenge to reinterpret or reposition Grant Wood and Marvin Cone in our local community. When we opened this in February, that's not peak tourist season here. No one comes to Iowa in February. So we're really doing this for the local audience, very much so. And it goes down in May. So we're also kind of missing still the peak tourist season. But we wanted to start off this year, and there's many other organizations doing all kinds of things in celebration of Grant Wood's 125th. We really wanted to kick things off with the art. Put the art first and foremost. That is what they were, artists. And to make sure that Marvin Cone got a slice of the pie as well, because while there'll be a lot of focus on Grant Wood, and always has been, we want to make sure his best friend Marvin Cone was not forgotten there.
Well, coming in from the outside, as you did, Kate, how familiar were you? Obviously, you're familiar with Grant Wood. Was Marvin Cone kind of new to you, or?
A little bit. I'm from Eastern Iowa, so the name was familiar to me, but my academic research was 17th century Italian, so
okay, yeah, not so
neither
much.
artist was something I had focused on when I was in graduate school. Which was great in one way. I mean, I was coming in as kind of a blank slate, and I could just soak it all in this new position as curator, and just really choose works that spoke to me and that I thought worked well together. So it's been an amazing, wonderful challenge.
Well, the exhibit is fabulous. We spent
you.
a couple hours there, and I suspect, I think we're going to go back.
Oh, wonderful.
So that we can
I'm so pleased.
experience it again before it goes down. And it is going down in just a few weeks. I have just barely 4 weeks left to see it. And this is, if you really anybody in Eastern Iowa who, has grown up here or has come to enjoy the area, and likes art, really should not miss this, because these are our guys.
Yeah.
These
are our people.
Yeah, who have